Hey guys! Just in time for the
Hi.
launch of the new expansion, Blizzard provided me the opportunity to interview the one and only Ion Hazzikostas. And for you guys, Blizzard is giving us a physical copy of the collector's edition of Dragonflight. For a chance to win this, subscribe to my channel and leave a comment below on what you would ask Ion Hazzikostas. For more info on the giveaway, check the description. And with that said, I hope you enjoy the video. Alright,
Let's see it.
hello Ion.
Hi.
Thank you so much for taking the time to sit down today and talk about WoW and Dragonflight.
All right,
Absolutely,
let's
it's
see
a
it.
pleasure.
My name is
Here we
Annie.
go.
I'm a streamer from Sweden. I play a lot of World of Warcraft. I'm a bit nervous, but I'm really glad to be here to have this opportunity to talk
I bet
to
Ian
you,
probably
Ian,
knows who she is.
who is, very well known in the community. And I'm sure everyone who's going to be watching is going to know you. But for those who may not, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Ion Hazzikostas. I am game director on World of Warcraft. I've been game director for just over 6 years now, and been on the World of Warcraft team for 14 years, and been
Long time.
playing for 18. So it's been really, World of Warcraft has been central to the better part of
I love how whenever I did the interview, I never had Ian introduce himself. I'm like, yeah, everybody knows who you are. All right, now let's get down to it.
my life at this point.
Turn it down, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. Let's
I'll
just
turn it
jump
up.
into the questions then. The first one touching the Fated raids. I think the Fated raids have been a massive success
Probably a little
from
bit loud. I'll turn it
all
down
sorts
slightly.
of different kinds of players. I've been hearing a lot of positive feedback on their experience with it. So much better than how in the past it may have been a season that's been lasting for too long with not too much to do, and now we get a bonus season, a
Yeah.
new season of Mythic Plus, a new season of PvP, and also to
I would
rediscover
consider especially season 7. That was a good season too. It was Relentless Gladiator. Season 4 of Shadowlands was very good. I liked it.
and re-experience the previous tiers of the expansion. My question to you is, what do you look to improve or change for the future? For example, a thought that I had was potentially bringing back older expansion raids into being fated.
It's lit. I like that.
That's a great question. Yeah, overall, we're really happy with how season 4 has played out.
Great.
It is exactly as you said. We know that I think it's by design. It's a shorter season. It's a different sort of experience. It's kind of a remix, a greatest hits look back at the
Yeah.
expansion as a whole. As we all know that we're moving on to something new very soon. And because of the way our development cycles work, the last raid tier would otherwise tend to last longer. And so this is something the team came up with. So instead of having, 8 months in Sepulchre, we could have 5 months in Sepulchre, and then 3 months just taking a grand world tour.
8 months at the end of an expansion's pretty fucking good. Like, I played this game for a long time, okay? If it's only 8 months between the last patch and the next expansion, that's damn good.
I think it's something we are pretty likely to repeat in the future in some form. I
Good.
don't know that
Good.
Fated as the exact framing
No,
will be the right
no,
fit.
probably not.
If we do it again, I think that was themed around the progenitors and their powers,
Oh,
and
yeah.
kind of tied to the story of Shadowlands. But some form of revisiting all the raids with a bit of a remix, a bit of a twist makes sense. We love the idea of revisiting old content and finding ways to keep that relevant.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't even have to do anything. You just take the old numbers, make them bigger. There it is. New numbers, new content. Everybody's happy. It's that easy. It's like, imagine everybody is literally asking you to just rehash the same content. It's the easiest job of your life.
But at the same time, I think we want to be careful about how we do that, just keeping in mind the
That's
fidelity
true.
of that content just visually, and
Yeah,
how
that's true.
potentially confusing it might be for players, particularly in the raid setting, where unlike a dungeon where we use revisit old dungeons now in current season 4 and future Dragonflight seasons, you can learn an old dungeon that you've never done pretty quickly. It's a 20-30 minute experience, 40 minutes on your first time.
Yeah.
Whereas when you look back at old raids, there may be a very big difference between people who did those raids when they were current and those who've never done them and have to basically do completely fresh progress from scratch.
I feel like that's true from Miss the Pandaria onward. I think that most of the raids pre-Miss the Pandaria, and especially pre-Cataclysm, were a joke. if they ever rescaled those raids, they would have to redesign them, or they would just be incredibly easy.
On a limited schedule, that may be more stressful than what we really are aiming for with this type of season. We do want to continue to expand our time walking raids as a system, as a way of revisiting that old content in a bit more stress-free, light way. One thing we definitely want to improve, I think one area where we just kind of let our players down with season 4 is outdoor focused players. If you were focused on dungeons, if you're a raider, if you're PvP, it was a great new season with rewards to chase. If you're someone who mostly plays in the outdoor world, I guess you had a world boss every week, and other than that, it was just a few more months of Zereth Mortis. So I think that if we do this sort of season again, we would definitely
scale up the Timeless Isle. Like, do scale up some of the old in-game zones, and just make them unique and have new rewards. That's all. Like, yeah, just do that.
Definitely want to include a meaningful outdoor component so that there's progression for all of our players.
Interesting. Yeah, I think it's nice to hear that you guys are trying to think about all the different kinds of players, and it's a good point. Bringing back an old raid would feel quite stressful, since it is usually, or it seems like it would be a shorter season naturally. So that actually does make sense.
Yeah, people don't want to learn it because they know it'll only matter for this season, and they'll never need to know it again. Yeah, that is kind of true. I still think they should do it.
I noticed the Shadowlands raid portals, the ones that you unlock when you clear them on Fated Mythic. I noticed that they're account wide. I was happy and unexpectedly discovered on my alts that I had those portals there. And my question to you is, how come the portals that you get for completing Mythic Plus 20 dungeons, how come those are not account wide?
I agree.
It's because we just made it up. And there's actually no logic to it at all. That's why. So we just figured we'd make these account wide, and we had the other ones that weren't. And so yeah, there's yeah. So basically, there it is. All right.
It's a little bit of a quirk. It can seem like an inconsistency.
Yeah.
I think philosophically, the vast majority of things these days that are cosmetic or utility are account wide. Really, some of the only exceptions have...
Except for the portals that you did for Mythic Plus. I mean, okay. So basically, now we're getting into the lawyer talk of how it's actually different. But what he's doing, he's explaining it in a different way. They're the exact fucking same. There's no difference. Okay, yeah, nice try.
Been some of the very highest end PvP rewards, some of the very highest end dungeon rewards, going all the way back to challenge mode armor and weapons from Mists. And in some ways, Mythic Plus is the successor to that system. The original philosophy there is some of the sense that, the class that you completed that accomplishment on when you're in a small scale PvP or dungeon setting is very important. And that when you're showing off some benefit, whether it's, a unique mount or having access to a teleport like this, it's a reflection on the fact that you did it as a mage or you did it as a priest, where in a raid group, it's inherently just a larger, more cooperative endeavor. I realize that reasoning is pretty flimsy. I think to some...
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a bit, yeah, because, like, yeah. Yeah, we get it.
To some extent, it's like this because it's always been like this.
That's right.
And it's definitely the sort of
that
we could revisit as we look to the future, particularly if we do these types of things more often.
Yeah, and this is why I was surprised to see it. I did not expect the raid ones to be account wide either, so that's why the question came up. So it's interesting. I'd be happy to see some, potential more account wide looks on that as well.
Everything should be account wide.
Another little bit more general thing here is over time, I've found myself removing add-ons for significant in-game updates. So, for example, with Shadowlands, the notable one for me was the auction house revamp. And now with Dragonflight, we have the UI updates. That, for me, meant that I removed a lot of my add-ons, especially the ones that were, on action bars. My question was if you have any other features that you would be happy to talk about or share that might, potentially replace some other popular add-ons.
This is, I mean, this is something we're actually kind of eagerly listening to community feedback around, and it's exactly.
Okay, Ian, you want to listen to some fucking shit? Listen to this. So back in the day, whenever you added this in the trial of the Crusader dungeon, or the patch, it was like patch 3.2, I think. You added this fucking thing that had the current raid frames that we've had ever since 3.2, and I've been using them even now. And it used to go, it was like this. Here. What the hell am I doing? What the hell did I just do? I fat-fingered something. Give me a second. Okay, sorry about that. I'm an idiot. Okay, all right. Just no. That's what they did to it. Okay. Wait, I spelled paint wrong. Okay. All right. So we had the raid frames, and it was like this. Okay. It was like right like this. And this was group 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right. And now we went like this. Okay. Just a sec. Let me do this one. Okay. Now it's like this fucking bullshit. This sucks. This sucks. I tried to fix it. I've tried to fix it like 10 different ways. I can't fix it. You say you can fix it? No, you can't. I tried it. It doesn't work. Okay? I know. I went through it for fucking 2 hours. It does not work. If it does work, listen, you can change that. No, you can't. No, you fucking can't. You can change it? All right. All right. Okay. Okay. Ready? Okay. I need a raid of 25 people. Can we have 25 people queue up into my Dungeons and Raids custom PvE group? Okay. All right. Okay. How do I do it? How do I do it? Edit mode? Okay. Edit raid frames? Okay. So I'll click on the raid frames? Okay. Groups? Okay. Now what? Horizontal? Okay. Now what? Save it? Okay. Okay, now what? Okay, so it's not the same? Right click, change it to vertical. Okay. All right. You want to do combine groups? You want to do that maybe? Maybe separate groups? Now click save. Okay, so you want me to click save here? Do you want me to click save right now? No? Okay, make them vertical? Alright. Do you want me to make them vertical with separate groups or combined groups? Separate? Okay. Okay, now what? Save? Okay, I'm gonna save. Got it. Now can I leave edit mode? Escape? Okay. Alright. Go to one of the older screenshots here. Okay, so we're going to compare this. And we're going to see if I'm right or not. So if you look at these raid frames here, you'd see that number 1 and number 2 are on top of each other. Oh, display borders. Okay, all right, let's display borders. Sounds good. Okay. Resize. Tall and narrow. Okay. Okay. What else? Goodbye, chat. Yep, there's going to be a lot of bans after this. Column size 3. Where does the number 3 come in here? Mm-hmm. And I want to make sure that everybody understands this. Anybody who offers me and insists on advice that is wrong will be permanently banned. Seems like they're just trying to help. Well, how could somebody help if they don't know? How could somebody help me if they don't know what they're talking about? Whenever they're spamming telling me that I'm wrong. Do you think telling me and spamming that I'm wrong and that I can do it and that I don't know what I'm talking about, do you think that's helping me? No. I don't like it. So are there any other people that have okay, all right, so somebody says combine groups vertical. All right, let's go ahead and look at this person. You're putting your account on the line. Combine groups vertical. Okay. All right. Sort by group, column size 10. Okay. So is that the same thing? No, it's not. They aren't even in the groups? I don't know. Let's find out. It's pretty close. Closest thus far. I didn't ask for close. When did I ever ask for close? I know that there's a way that you can make it close. When did I ever say that there wasn't a way to make it close? And so if you look at this one here, so you can see middle is here, but he's not here. He's down here. Just because the raid's not full? Yes, because you have to combine the groups. I don't want to combine the groups. This does not show me each individual group. I said that I wanted it to be like this, and it can't be like this anymore. It has been changed for no reason. It is impossible to recreate this setup. I'm sorry, gentlemen, but this one is a ban. You don't know what you're talking about. You're giving me advice, telling me what to do, and it's wrong. Anybody who gives me advice and the advice is wrong is permanently banned. That's what happens. This rule has existed for quite a while, and it will continue to exist. He knew the risks. He knew the risks. I waited until afterwards. I did not ban him until after I had him put it on the line. He put it on the line and he was permanently banned. That's the way it goes. Sometimes you get caught. You've never been wrong. Well, there actually was a time that I was wrong and somebody in chat offered correct advice and I gave him VIP in my main channel. So there have been cases where chat has provided correct information, and I remember every single one of them. There's like 3. Yeah. It's like 3 times. So, yeah, that's about it. Yeah, it was an anomaly. I was amazed by it. I couldn't believe it. This person is spamming and chat. No, the thing is, like 3 times chat was right. Yes, absolutely. I am always willing. I'm asking. Like I would want chat to be right, but just because I want them to be right doesn't mean they're right. Yeah, might be these people I talk about. Yeah. So like exactly. Couldn't believe that they were right or you were wrong. Yeah. Well, this is the thing. A lot of times people are very confident in something that they know nothing about. And they are annoyingly obnoxious about asserting themselves as knowing that they know what they're talking about. And they don't. I find this to be very annoying. And so that's what happens. Like you all the time? No, I'm right about this completely. And the thing is that a lot of times people go and they say this kind of stuff. And they say, oh, well, you're wrong all the time. There are times where I am wrong. They are few and far between, but they do exist. And keep in mind, whenever you're thinking to yourself, he's wrong all the time, and then you get called out in chat for it, to bring up an example of me being wrong and not admitting it or saying something like that. And you're like, oh, it happens all the time. I can't remember any one time. The reason why you can't remember any one time is because it's not true. And it doesn't happen. Okay, let's see here. Let's keep going. The gotcha comments are coming in. Yeah, I mean, listen. As I said, you give wrong advice, it's a permaban. He put his bid in, he lost.
That for me meant that I removed a lot of my add-ons. For example, with Shadowlands, the notable one for me was the auction house revamp, and now with Dragonflight, we have the UI updates.
Mm-hmm.
That for me meant that I removed a lot of my add-ons, especially the ones that were, you know, on action bars.
Yep.
My question was if you have any other features that you would be happy to talk about or share that might, you know, potentially replace some other popular add-ons.
This is something we're actually kind of eagerly listening to community feedback around, and it's exactly discussions like these, feeling like the new UI is great, but it has this one flaw that I feel like I need to fix with an add-on, or there's this one thing missing, and we want to get a sense of what the kind of, you know, most common examples of those are to help inform where we focus our future efforts, so it benefits the most people. One example off the top of my head, which is pretty small, but I think it is something probably missing from our UI, is the ability to view or interact with like the common map coordinate systems that a lot of add-ons use. Or
that's a good point. Yeah, I agree with that.
You often just see players commonly sharing these around, and if you're not using a specific add-on, you don't know what they mean or how to interact with them.
Yeah.
And while it's something that, you know, was never a basic part of the game, it's become so widespread that it feels like players more broadly would benefit from being able to have that.
I don't know why that happened.
Otherwise, I think the one thing that we're not looking to do, you know, first off, add-ons remain a key part of WoW. We want to make sure players have the ability to customize their experience. That's not going away. Things like, you know, DBM or bigwigs, or, you know, fully sort of informational, computational problem-solving add-ons, that's not something we're looking to replicate with the base UI. We're looking, you know, we want to provide that information. You know, certainly things that weak auras might do in terms of making it more obvious when you've had a class proc fire or when a boss is about to use an ability. Those sorts of things, yes, the base UI should do adequately.
Well, that shouldn't even be in the game. Like, this is what I've said before, is like, I don't think there should be any combat add-ons allowed in the game. No weak auras, no DBM, no bigwigs, no gladiator, Losa, none of that shit. You take all of that stuff out of the game, and guess what? That's going to completely change the way people play the game, and then Blizzard can finally fucking design the game without this arms race against these add-on developers that are creating ways to make the fights easier. It's so fucking annoying to me. Like, most people do not care about having like 3 or 4 different add-ons play the game for them. This does not improve the game in any capacity. It just makes it worse.
But things that are like putting markers over enemies'
It also makes the game worse to watch because you don't have a uniform experience. Every single person watching a streamer doesn't know what the fuck is happening on their screen, and they can't learn the game because everybody has a different UI.
Or helping, you know, assign or solve a problem, that feels like it would almost be defeating the purpose of the puzzles we present if the game solved them for you.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense, actually. I was thinking in terms of the things that you just mentioned with weak auras, like being able to customize how you see your procs, for example. I think that would be really interesting. Great. So yeah, that's an answer I like. So
good idea.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Another general question, sort of. I've noticed the accessibility improvements in the game over the last couple expansions. We have the recent controller support updates. We have the directional targeting system that's coming in Dragonflight, and the interact with target keybind, which I just recently discovered and played around with. So my question is WoW coming to console in Dragonflight?
No plans for that at this point. Yeah. I think there's a lot. You know, WoW is a game that at its core was designed for PC, and that's not just the interface; it's also how it's delivered, and even including things like add-ons. But you know, a lot of the focus on controller support really has been with an eye towards accessibility, and people who, you know, have a challenging time using keyboard and mouse controls, but can use a wide variety of accessibility controllers if we support them. And so we're just very excited to have been able to do, you know, more and more of that.
I am a big advocate of putting WoW on consoles. I think that WoW on consoles would be good for the game.
Yeah, no, it's been really nice to see because,
And
as you
before
say,
anybody who says no, why would it be bad? Give me one reason why it would be bad. It's impossible? Then why is it possible for Final Fantasy? It simplifies the game. Did it simplify Final Fantasy? You can't get add-ons in Final Fantasy? So you couldn't play WoW without add-ons, and that's the reason why you shouldn't make it for consoles? I think that's a bad argument. That's like saying you can't have Skyrim because you can't have Skyrim on consoles because it's harder to get console mods. It's just stupid. Do we have another one? Another stupid comment about why consoles are bad? Yep. That's what I thought. Okay.
there's people who use a controller by a PC. People have potentially the setup connected to a big monitor. So it's nice to see that. Being able to go back and forth between keyboard, mouse, and controller as well. So something that's inventory related. Shadowlands came with a lot of items in the game, which bloats our inventory quite a bit. I saw a wiki page the other day that listed 100 different anima item sources. Not sure how accurate that is, but many of them...
I think it's inaccurate. There's probably more.
Which contain an identical amount of anima even. And then we also had the research items in Korthia and several Covenant-specific items, such as the seeds for the Queen's Conservatory. So my question is, are you guys planning to be a bit nicer to our bags in Shadowlands? In Dragonflight.
Yes. Yes. I think it's something
good
we experience as pain points ourselves. And, one of the ways we have to deliver progression systems or collections or whatever ends up being inventory. The challenge is when 6 or 7 different systems or multiple designers are doing things that involve putting items in your bags, suddenly, you're overwhelmed. One of the big things we've done in Dragonflight is adding the all-new reagent bag to pull...
The reagent bag was a really good idea. I like the reagent bag a lot, and I think that the game that does bag space best than any other game is Lost Ark. Lost Ark has a special tab that all of your crafting, profession, quest-related, dungeon-related items all go directly into, that has a storage space that's totally separate from your inventory. Lost Ark does it perfectly. Blizzard just needs to do what Lost Ark does. I don't know what Guild Wars 2 does. I've never played it, but I know Lost Ark does it very well.
All of that stuff completely out of the inventory space into its own very large, section. And I think that should go a long way towards helping. But ultimately, we need to just be careful with the systems that we design, with the outdoor loops, because often if you're just killing things around the world and before you know it, your bags are full, we're right back.
Yeah, it's super annoying.
If we gave you more space.
Yeah. I did notice the reagent back, and I really like it because it does affect things like, for example, the crafting materials in Zereth Mortis. Yeah. I noticed how they immediately went into that, so that was really nice to see. Good change. Moving on to a bit more to do with achievements and collecting. So as someone who recently hit 100% achievements this expansion and will be attempting to reach 100% in Dragonflight, there's one achievement I'm looking at, the 2,000 pets collected achievement. So I'm nearly missing 500 pets, and I have all of the ones that are currently obtainable. And my question is, are we going to hit this in Dragonflight?
I hope not. I hope it's an achievement that just sits there, that nobody can get it for like 5 years. I think they should add like a 1,000 mount achievement right now into the game. And in like 3 expansions, somebody will get it. Somebody one day will break that glass ceiling. And you will see them, and it will be a world first. It'll be fucking awesome. I would love that.
That's a good question. It's something we need to revisit. We need to make sure, so some of those may have been made just kind of forward-looking, anticipating where we were going to go. But philosophically, there should not be achievements in the game that aren't currently earnable. Like, even if it wasn't going to be earnable until, let's say, patch 10.2 or whatever, we still shouldn't have that in the game before it's possible to get it. So we're definitely going to look back at those numbers.
I totally disagree. I think that having things that you can't even get remotely close to, but you know they're there whenever you finally can, I think that actually, it makes the game feel a lot bigger. To me, I think that's super cool.
Oh, interesting. So even if it's obtainable later in the expansion.
Oh, by the way, like if it's like a feat of strength, if you guys want to make an argument like, oh well, you shouldn't be able to do this, it should only be like a feat of strength, not an achievement. That's fine with me. I'm not gonna die on the hill that like, oh, it has to be an achievement, not a feat of strength. I just think that it should be in the game.
Still not be in the game yet.
Yeah, feat of strength would be fine.
Philosophically, yes. I mean, I think,
yeah.
Coming from your perspective, right? Like it's not fair to have this thing dangling in front of you that you can't quite read what you do. It's like, all right, you're at 99.8% completion.
Yeah.
Because there's an impossible one. Just wait. That's not how the system should work.
Yeah, that would be fine if they made it a feat of strength. But like other than that, yeah, I do think that it's really cool to have those things in the game that you can't get yet, but you know that one day somebody will get it.
Gotcha. Because in contrast, I was looking at the mount achievement, which is a lot lower than what is currently obtainable. So I found that contrast interesting. But if you guys are looking into revisiting that, then it already kind of answers my question.
Yeah, with the mount one, I mean, I think we're looking at, just how many people, what percentage of players, what number of players have, certain numbers of mounts. We also want to be very mindful when it comes to mounts in particular. There are many that are no longer earnable. There are also many that are promotional items that from the shop or collector's editions or whatever. We don't want to create an achievement tier that feels like
it's pay to win.
You have to have either these ungettable things or these promotional mounts in order to achieve it. And
that there is a very good argument. Like that is 100% a very good argument. I agree with that.
So while yes, for some, hardcore collectors, they're way beyond the 500 mark.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that we're not, setting the bar in a place that feels unfair to people who are coming along today and starting to chase it.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that makes total sense. Back to pets a little bit. Do you see a world where we could potentially play our pet battles on mobile, for example, when traveling to work? If the functionality was added to mobile where you could also progress your achievements, like there's one very popular one, the 5,000 PvP pet battle one.
Yeah, that one sucks.
I think it could maybe increase participation. Or what are your thoughts on this?
I agree. Honestly, I would love to see it. I think there have been a number.
I'm glad he says that. I think having a pet battle app would be great. Like I am a big advocate of having different things you can do in WoW on your phone.
Technical challenges that we're still working through. It's an idea that comes up frequently.
Yeah.
That there's excitement about, but I think there's just questions of like what form it would take. Something that the mobile app doesn't do currently is like rendering actual 3D assets and pulling creatures and spell visuals
like
and stuff
tech
into
limitation,
that mobile package, because again, it's just a very different technical framework. So we'd have to change a bunch of things to make it work, but completely understand the value there. Like it feels like something that, if you want to play WoW, but you're not at your computer, you can make progress in the system. It feels like a good fit and something we continue to talk about.
That's awesome to hear. Because it would be nice to be able to progress the little things while you're not playing, like the way that you've had missions in the past. I think it's great. All right, then back to mounts again. Shadowlands added many more mounts than any other expansion in the past. I think the number might be around the same as Legion and BFA combined or something. It's starting to get difficult to spot rare mounts from a vendor or reputation mount, especially when many of them are, potentially recolors of the same model.
I think that's also a problem just because the game's been out for a really long time. Like, there's Ashes of Alar, Invincible, the Solar Spirehawk, the Shaw of Anger mount, Hulan, fucking the Nilotha Overseer, the Shackled Urzul, there's the Jailer mount, there's so many fucking mounts in the game that, it's really hard to tell what the special ones are because there's so many fucking mounts. I feel like that's a problem in itself. I do think that there should be mount classes where like you shouldn't be able to get a certain type of mount unless you accomplish like a really hard to do thing. It sucks whenever there's like a coloration of a mount that's like 10 times harder to get, but it's just a different color of another one that everybody gets. I think that's boring.
And so what are your thoughts on mounts being recognizable, such as, popular in the past ones like Amani Warbear or Invincible?
So yeah, there's a few pieces to that. Definitely Shadowlands had a lot of mounts. Some of that was
I do think the Jailer mount was like the Jailer mount and the Sylvanas mount. If you saw somebody riding on those mounts, they stood out.
the nature of the Covenant system and kind of times
Mm-hmm.
like multiplying everything by 4. Particularly early on when there was more of the sense of like pick your path. You wanted each of them to feel really complete unto itself. And then of course, as players were able to move among all of them more freely, that just became a very, very large space of not just mounts, but transmog
I
and
still
all the
don't
other
have them all.
cosmetics as well.
It's brutal.
With recolors, I think we try when possible to keep recolors at least thematically consistent in terms of where they come from, what type of activity, so that if possible, when you see someone on a mount, you at least know what portion of the game it came from. And the recolors they're often available just for pure aesthetic reasons. You want something, you have a Mog that is a specific color prominently. It's nice if we make the mount available that matches it.
Okay.
We do, when it comes to particular, prestige mounts in particular, we very much want to avoid too many versions of those or reusing them in other places until a lot of time has passed.
Yeah.
Again, so that if you see someone on, the Death Elemental, you know that they got Keystone Master. And it's like, yes, there's different colors for the different seasons, but it's very clear, like that mount.
Yeah, it's like you're never going to confuse a Death Elemental for the Jaina mount, even though they're effectively the same thing.
Means dungeon achievement. Same thing for, end of raid mythic mounts. We avoid reusing those until a significant amount of time has passed.
And that is true. This is a factually true statement, even though I know there are people in chat that are capping this. It is true. There is no other mount like the Nilotha Overseer. There are other jellyfish mounts, but whenever you look at the Nilotha Overseer, it is completely visually unique. The Jailer Mythic mount, no other mount in the game looks even remotely close to that. If you look at the mount from Sylvanas Mythic Vengeance, no other mount looks remotely close to that. It's true.
So it's striking a balance, but I think where possible, players who are clued in should be able to look at someone's mount and recognize, oh, you did this impressive thing to get it. And where that's not the case, it's something for us to keep working on.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. Yeah, making mounts stand out more. Every Dragonhawk, yes, I know that there are some stupid people in chat that think that because a mount shares a skeleton with another mount, that they're the same thing. Nobody is going to look at the Amani Dragonhawk and the Mythic Sylvanas mount and say, yeah, this is the same thing. Nobody's gonna do this. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, because I do agree. I think the KSM mount does stick out. Different colors for different seasons. Same with Gladiator mounts. And I think the Mythic mount drops are also good. But yeah, I think in other places, sometimes like rare drops or vendor reputation, I think there is a little more blurring there a lot, especially in Shadowlands.
Yeah, that's
true.
So
it's nice to hear that you guys will, keep that in mind, maybe also for the future as well. And following up on that, I have a question about a system of mount dies. So having a way to have fewer mounts overall, but having a way to then unlock dies instead, maybe similar to a Legion artifact weapon system. Is that something that you guys have come across as an idea?
It's an idea that comes up. It's a suggestion.
They kind of had that with the Mechagon mount. Remember that? Like, we kind of had this, and I don't really, I don't have a super strong opinion about this. Like, I don't really care that much. I just want cool, new, unique mounts. I feel like the more mounts that are in the game that look the exact same as each other, the less cool the mount is. Like, there's nothing else in the game that really looks like Invincible. Like, the Spectral Horse, right? The first Storm mount, that is the same skeleton as Invincible, but nobody would look at these two mounts together and compare them and be like, oh, oops, I thought this was Invincible. It turns out it's the Spectral Horse. Nobody's going to do that. So I think that having more unique-looking mounts that don't just have 8 different recolors is what's really important.
Here. Right now, it's not one that's consistent with how our items and mounts and just visual assets are built. both artistically and from an engineering like pipeline perspective, because it's not, you know, there's it's a this WoW is known as having a painterly style, which often means, you know, sort of the literal vibe of brushstrokes and multiple combined colors in different sections, such that it's not like, oh, this piece of the shoulder pad or this piece is just solid purple or solid green and we can swap those out. And because of that nuance, it's challenging to just say, okay, replace this color with that color and have it actually functionally work. That said, we recognize...
I find that to be unlikely, because there's been people that have redone this on YouTube many times. Like, if this is a limitation of the engine, that's fine. But there are many cases where people have redone this inside of YouTube. So it is probably an engine limitation and not a design limitation.
As we hear loud and clear, the desire for more and more and more customization. And that's in all avenues, whether it's the dragon riding mounts that we now have, whether it's creating your Drakthir, we want more depth, more variety, and that's an approach we want to continue to bring to all facets of the game.
I really like that, because that also then touches on the idea of potentially having dyes for transmog as well. And I think especially in transmog, that's when it's most complicated with different colors.
Oh, absolutely. Like, you should be able to dye the armor and do different stuff. The engine's 20 years old. I don't care about the engine. The thing is, like, I'm just saying that it's very obvious that the engine is the limiting factor for a lot of things that happen in WoW. Like, Ian has even said this himself, that it's like it's a 20-year-old engine, and this has been the problem with many things. I bet it's probably the issue they have with World PvP being super laggy. So, yeah, I think this is a huge issue. But whenever there are other people that can do something that is similar to this on YouTube, with random things, and it's like random, like just recoloring things on Photoshop, I will not accept that this is a limitation of the engine. If you can do this on Photoshop, you can probably put it into the game in one way or another.
And stuff. It feels like a nice idea to be able to just unlock those by getting the dyes themselves. So that's why I wanted to see what you had to say about that.
Oh, that's not how it works? What am I talking about? People think that I'm wrong about this? Why am I wrong about it? Why am I wrong? Photoshop is crazy powerful, and the WoW engine isn't. The WoW engine doesn't look like the Photoshop engine. So you're telling me that there's not a, whenever these assets are generated, there is not a person who can adjust the color on the assets. So there's no way to adjust color on assets in WoW. Of course they can. Right, of course they can. Yes, duh. Okay. So let's think about this. If the devs can color things separately and hand them to you, then it's not an engine limitation. Well, I don't really know. All I know is that if you have 50 different colors, it doesn't seem like it's very complicated to me to just change the colors on the items and then allow them to be existing as dyes. This is what New World does as well. So I'm not going to accept the idea that I'm some kind of an idiot who doesn't understand game design whenever every single other fucking game does this and it's just fine. No, they can do it. They've done it in many other ways. They did this exact same thing with the Mechagon cat. People think I don't know what I'm talking about. It's common sense.
So thank you for the answer.
Absolutely. And that could definitely be cool. I think it's something that we're going to continue to talk about, but nothing specific to announce right now.
Okay. Another kind of big question, my last big question on collecting. So I would feel that it would be cool to be able, as a collector, to progress other professions than your main two. But currently the punishment for dropping a profession means that you'd lose your recipes, potentially the unobtainable ones. And I understand the idea of...
That's why I never swap my professions, is because I already have a bunch of unobtainable recipes for blacksmithing and stuff like that.
Having different professions for social and economic reasons, but is there a way to maybe restore the previously learned recipes without affecting other people?
That's something that is challenging, but that we want to make happen. It's just a question of prioritizing it against, developing other new systems and things that, how many players does it benefit? I mean, personally, myself, speaking as a player, I'm in the same boat. Like, I picked, like,
I don't think it's that big of a deal either. And, like, I actually appreciate this answer from Ian. Him saying, yeah, this is a problem, but it doesn't really affect that many people, so who cares?
The character I play is, have a blacksmithing profession that isn't super beneficial to my character personally. I picked it up back when my guild was doing Molten Core literally 17 years ago, so I could make all the rare dark iron stuff. And I have, like, original vanilla Naxxramas recipes, and it's like, I'm never going to drop blacksmithing because we have things that are impossible to ever get again. Would be nice if I could change. Completely understand where the desire comes from. It's just competing against things like making the new profession system that we're excited to roll out to everybody in Dragonflight. But I think, it's something that we genuinely want to tackle, and it's not a this is never going to happen thing. It's just a question of when.
Yeah, I think that's smart. And like, just kind of, it seems obviously like they've said this, right? They're revamping all of the professions in Dragonflight. Obviously, the first thing that they're going to think about whenever revamping professions is probably not going to be, how can we allow people to save the things they had from like 15 years ago? It seems like that's clearly not step 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah, okay. Well, I look forward to hopefully one day being able to do that. On the topic of mounts that become unobtainable later, like Gladiator, Keystone, Master, ahead of the curve, has the idea, or what do you guys feel about potentially some of those coming back, maybe several expansions later?
I think that's very unlikely.
Unlikely.
Some of those particular mounts, those rewards, titles in the same vein.
Yeah, I think that would piss a lot of people off. Like, bringing back old mounts that, like, people got from Prestige or something like that, and now it's coming back, and, like, people can farm it in a different way. I think the reason why is because achieving that mount, like, for example, like, getting Gladiator in Wrath of the Lich King means something that is very unique. And so if somebody comes back and you get the mount nowadays, it would devalue what that mount means.
Exist at times to mean you were there, you did the thing, and if you missed it, you missed it. The vast majority, like 99% plus of all of the rewards across World of Warcraft of every type, are things that you can go back and get years later. You can go back and kill old mythic raid bosses and get their titles.
I do think that they probably are adding a bit too many FOMO mounts into the game at this point, whenever it's like 2 or 3 that come in every single patch, where you're getting a new Vicious mount, you're getting a new Gladiator mount, a new Keystone mount, a new Mythic mount. Sometimes there's also ahead of the curve mounts. It seems like there's a bit too much of it at this point, though. Feldrake's not prestige. Yeah, I know that there are 3 heads, and yes, ever since I got on WoW and I disproved every dumb fuck in chat, there have been a bunch of angry but frustrated people in chat trying to disprove every single thing that I'm saying. I just like to let you guys know that I'm completely right about everything, and that's why nobody can offer any argument. You're wrong about that. You were wrong about the Feldrake. You're wrong about the WoW engine, and I'm right about all of it. That's all there is to it. Keep it in mind. And so, yes, the Feldrake is nothing like a Gladiator mount. If you think the Feldrake is a good comparison to the Wrathful Gladiator's fucking Frostdrake, I don't know what to tell you.
You can farm up their mounts. But there is a handful of things in the space that really are about, you were part of an experience. And if you see someone with it, you know that they did it while it mattered. And so we don't want to expand that space too much, but I think we're likely to preserve it as it stands.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's one of the popular questions I hear from new players, especially the ahead of the curve mounts. So I totally understand your point. I just wanted to bring it forward to see what you'd say on it. So I think we're nearing the end, but I thought maybe I'd just throw some real quick questions. Achievement. It's over 9,000. Are we going to get another one for a higher number?
Are there any other meme numbers above that? I mean, let me know. I can think of a couple. They're maybe not so appropriate for a T13 rated game.
I wasn't going to mention that. But yeah, we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, 69,000 achievement points. 42. Yeah, 400. Yeah, I feel like 400. Yeah, 42,000 achievement points. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
I guess there's no numbers around 30, no meme exactly. So, okay, so meme numbers, that's what it is, basically. That's what it takes.
Pretty much. That was
Okay.
that was
That's fair.
100%
Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. RBGs for groups of 5 to 6 people.
Yes, I think BGs, the size of BGs, is something we're definitely looking at and talking about a lot. I think looking at, effectively solo queue in the form of rated solo shuffles, an interesting experiment.
That's the first step. Yeah.
That may lead to something in a similar space in Battlegrounds down the line. It's something, we know we've heard a lot from the community. So stay tuned. We'll have more to talk about later on in Dragonflight.
Cool. Nice. Import-export features now in the game and talents and such. Are we going to get one for sharing our customization of the Dracthyr?
That's something we'd like to do. It's come up a lot, actually. People who either have spent 15 minutes making their Dracthyr and then realize they picked the wrong faction, or something comes up and they have to back out and they're like, I had it perfect, I want to save this. Or you see someone else's and you want to copy the setup. That's something we're going to look into.
Cool.
That's good.
Yeah, I found myself making 2 Dracthyrs on 2 separate servers, and I'm like, it would be nice if I could just copy it. Final question. Which dragon aspect would you rather be stranded on an island with, and why?
Would we really be stranded with any of them? They're all dragons that can fly. Like,
yeah,
how do you get stuck on an island if you're a dragon?
That's a good fucking point. Great fucking point. Yep, there you go. Ian right there with the facts and logic.
Maybe there's invisible walls, okay? You can't get out.
Okay. Well, okay,
good point.
My very serious answer is going to be the future leader of the Black Dragonflight.
Oh. Okay. Good.
My man. Because there's no way they're going to get rid of Rathian. There's no way. Hell fucking yeah.
Answer. Awesome. Well, thank you. And I think that is the end of our time together. Thank you so much, Ian, for taking your time to talk about stuff. This has been really exciting for me. I was very nervous about this, but it started feeling better as further into the interview we got. So yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, no, it was a complete pleasure chatting. So thank you for the great questions.
Thank you.
That was nice. That was a good interview. Look at that. Wow. Yeah, Giga Chat answer. Yeah, there you go. I think that was a very good interview. I liked it a lot. I'll go ahead and link it to you. I think that whenever I did that, it messed it up. So I like resized it or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, let me link you guys a video. You guys know Annie. Like, she's been on Allcraft multiple times. She's been on my stream multiple times. She's also known for getting banned in New World for milking a cow. Yeah, I don't know exactly why that happened. Like, I still don't know. Somebody from Amazon messaged me about it. They said, yeah, we don't know why this happened either, but it wasn't supposed to happen. Good thing to know about. Yep, good thing to be known about, absolutely. And she also got 100% achievements in WoW. There you go. Yeah, I mean, I think that the interview was good. Like, it was a lot of questions. Like, I mean, as somebody who is like a mount collector and, I do all the completionisms type stuff, like, the questions were very much... I was very much the target audience, okay? Let's just say that. I would watch some other stuff, but right now, I will watch this one. It's a short video about Elden Ring, okay? I will watch a very short video about Elden Ring because after this, we are going to play Elden Ring, okay? Oh, let me watch the Valheim thing, too. Alrighty. And this must be it. Here we go. These are new. Hold on. They're Metroids. Oh my god. What the fuck? This is badass. Holy shit. Look at this. Wow. Bro, I didn't think it was going to be that good. Holy fuck. It's so cool. New mechanics, 9 new creatures. Wow. Available now for public testing. I'll have to try this out at some point. That is crazy. You guys may or may not know this. I'm a huge Valheim fan. Absolutely love the game. Played it constantly on release. I got every trophy in the game. I beat every boss. I crafted every weapon, leveled every weapon up. I had fucking everything, man. I love this game. So yes, I 100% will play this. It's not even a question. You can be a spellcaster now? Yeah, it seems that way. Yeah, the Valheim tournament. Remember that? Yeah, that was a good fucking time. The only thing I remember about the Valheim tournament was watching Fandy play, and she was like chopping wood at the same time there was a troll hitting her, and she was just iframing through all of the attacks, and it was giving me anxiety. I was getting so stressed out watching her play because like if she died, it would be over and it would kill her in one hit, and she's like not even paying attention at all. And like finally something killed her. But I was like, oh my god, what the fuck are you, how are you letting this happen? Listen, Valheim is a great game. It is a cheap game. There are no microtransactions in the game. There may be in the future. I'm kind of assuming there will be in the future. However, none of it is pay to win. This is an incredibly good game. If you have not played it before, I would absolutely recommend you playing it. Hashtag ad. They should sponsor me. I totally agree. And you know what else they should do? Just in case you guys think it's actually an ad, not take fucking 1 year to bring this out. Should have been out last year. But we're glad it's out now. Yeah, that's important. And, you know, they have a small team. Hopefully they'll be able to produce content more often. Valheim will actually be a really big game if they add more depth to crafting and they allow people to have, like, 500 player servers that don't, like, lag out whenever there's 6 people chopping the same tree. If they do that, then I actually think the game will grow a lot. And I really hope that happens. Yeah, I really, really, really hope that happens. I know that the developers, they don't see the value in that. It is just, like, look, please, if you guys don't fucking get it, look at Rust. Look how important it was for Rust. Look at Minecraft. Look at GTA RP. Look at all of these games that have actual dedicated servers that a lot of people can be on, and how good that is. So yes, that would be amazing. And better mod support.